Let's talk the cut. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cut. Woo!
Hey there, good evening, everybody. Good evening. It's Cutler here, the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club, and it is already July the 20th. I hope you all are hanging in there. It's probably hot, muggy, warm, or something wherever you are, so make sure that you are hydrating. I don't know why it's funny when I start talking. I feel just like I'm talking to family and friends because I am. That's who you all are. So, yeah, I'll tell you what this channel is about in just a moment, but really, before I even get into that, my opening statement is just to make sure that you all are taking care of your health and that you are being safe in this heat. This is July, and there are heat waves and there are high pressure systems developing across the country. So make sure that you're hydrating. Make sure that if you are outside, you're not outside too long. Make sure that you're pacing yourself. Make sure that you're just being careful of your health. So that really is my opening statement. I just want you all to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And of course, if people are stopping by for the first time and they're wondering, who is that guy telling me to drink water? Who's that guy telling me to hydrate? Who's that guy telling me to take it slowly? Well, it's Cutler, and it's somebody who's really concerned about making sure that we are all well, making sure that we are doing what we can to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. Someone who is making sure or trying to help make sure that we are intentional about checking ourselves out to see if I showed up better today than I did yesterday, making sure that I'm a little deliberate and intentional about trying to show up better tomorrow than I did today. That's who this guy is. This guy who is spending 1,800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday, just trying to offer some inspiration, trying to offer some motivation, trying to challenge us every now and then to do what we can to emerge as our best selves and to evolve into our best selves. And do you not know that you can be your best self every day? I just need to pause and say that again. You can be your best self every day. A lot of times people say, I want to get better. I want to get better. I want to be the best version of me. But you can be the best version. You can be the best version of you every single day when you are doing the best you can with the resources that you have and the circumstances that you have to deal with. You can be the best version of you every day. So when I say trying to show up better tomorrow than I did today, I'm making sure that I showed up better today than I did yesterday. It literally does not mean that yesterday was a failure. It doesn't mean yesterday was a flop. It doesn't mean that anything has gone wrong today, but it means that I'm just intentional about being my best me whenever I can. Even in the worst of situations, being my best self. So when I talk about showing up again better tomorrow and all those sorts of things, you can be the best version of you every single day. You can play the hands that you've been dealt to the best of your possible, to the best of your ability. Every single day you can do that. And that's all I really try to get across whenever I share these 1,800 seconds. So again, thank you for allowing this guy to come into your space, into your homes or wherever you are and talk about being the best version of you. I want us to be our best selves every single day. And I want us to understand that, yes, I could be my best me every day. And just because I'm my best me today, it doesn't mean that I was horrible yesterday. Just because I'm going to be my best me tomorrow, it doesn't mean that I was a failure, flop today. I just wanted to say that, you all, because I just felt the need to say it. That's all. But thank you all for sharing this time with me. And in case anybody is stopping by for the first time, do us a favor, y'all. We want to add you to the LTTC, the Let's Talk to Cutler family. And I'll shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. But it would be my delight to have you join the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual family when we can exchange these ideas and have this conversation. Just pick up some nuggets as we walk through the day. That's all. So if this is your first time, do me a favor and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click on that notification bell and let you know whenever I've gone live. Like I am now. I'm live. This is old school, and I'm getting ready to age myself, and I'm fine with my age. But this is live. This is not Memorex. Does anybody remember that? This is live. This is not Memorex. It's not a recording. No, it's really me. It's July the 20th, 2023, and right now where I am is 8:06 p.m. And I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIP so that y'all know that I'm live. This is not Memorex. I want to thank the first 3 people that I see in the chat room this evening are Annie Cutler, Hattie Boone, and Linda Martin. Thank you all. I see everybody else as well, but I just wanted to shout out them tonight. I want to continue our conversation talking about patience, and I'll tell you all why. Here I am laughing and giggling. Patience pays off. That's all I have to say. Patience pays off. Now, the last time I was here and we were here and we chatted, we talked about how sometimes things will come to try us, and they really come to try us, and they challenge our muscle of patience, or our patience muscle. And if you ever wondered why you sometimes become irritable, if you ever wondered why you sometimes can't become anxious and agitated, it is because there's a circumstance, a situation, or a person that is challenging your patience muscle. And I said the last time we were here, I said that your success over that moment, whether you win or lose in that moment, depends on how you respond to your patience muscle. Because a lot of times when our muscles get sore, we get more aggravated, more irritated, more intense, just more tight in our emotions and in our soul and our spirit. But one of the things that we have to do, and we have to be cognizant and conscious and conscientious about making sure that we respond appropriately and that we respond correctly for us. And when I say correctly, that is subjective, because when I say correctly, I'm really talking about what is consistent with your character, what is consistent with your integrity. Life gives us all of these opportunities that will try our patience muscle, and whether or not we win in the moment depends on how we respond. These sayings come to me, and what I just heard in my ear was, my response matters. My response matters. So if you can get to the keyboard, and if you can get to the chat, just in case somebody catches the replay, you all type in the chat, my response matters. Either that or how you respond matters. That's all life is about, isn't it? When we think of our successes, when we think of our failures, when we think of the moment where we just sort of just coasted right on through, wasn't it based on our response to something or to somebody or to a situation? It is our response that matters. Yes, my perspective matters, but even beyond my perspective, because I can have a certain perspective, but not necessarily respond consistently with my perspective, right? Sometimes and that's how life is. Sometimes we do things that are contrary to our soul and the core of who we are, and contrary to our core values. But life gives us these opportunities to have a perspective and to make sure. Thank you all. I see you putting it in the chat. It's important when I think about that. Life gives us an opportunity to respond. Life gives us an opportunity to take a stance and have an opinion and have a certain perspective. And when our perspective is parallel to our response, then that's what's consistent with our character and with our integrity. I don't like to do things. I don't like to be pushed to do something that challenged me to go against the core of who I am. I don't like to do things I don't like to end up in situations that challenge me to go against the grain of my social values, my core values, my spiritual values, my character, or my integrity. My response matters. All of my successes in life, whatever they may be, big or small, great or minimum, no matter what my successes have been and will be, they are based on my response to something. They really are. And I want us to think about that. And for me, what has guided my response is trying to be patient. I don't like to respond quickly. I like to give some thought to how I'm going to respond. Now, sometimes, you put in certain situations and you have to make a quick response. But how you respond matters. How you respond to situations, how you respond to people, it matters. Relationships with people are built on how we respond. I'm always concerned about the impact that my words have on the people with whom I'm speaking, either with whom I'm speaking or to whom I'm speaking or for whom I may be speaking in some cases. I'm always concerned about the impact of my words. I'm always concerned about the impact of my behavior. Does that mean I'm a people pleaser? No, not necessarily. It means that I'm a human being. I don't like to hurt people. I don't like to offend people. And I like to help people whenever I can. And my greatest blessings have come, and I've said this before, and I'm going to get to patience, honestly, but I just need to remind somebody that your greatest successes and victories will sometimes be based on how we respond to people, how we respond to things, how we respond to life, how we respond to the blessings, how we respond to what small things we have. Because how many of you all know that sometimes the big things are coming, but they're just waiting to see how you respond to the small things? It happens. I want to be a good steward over all of the things in my life, over all of the people in my life. And it does not matter how important they are. It does not matter how many degrees they have. It doesn't matter how extensive their resume may or may not be. I want to do right by people. I want to make sure my responses are congruent to my character. I really do. And a part of that driving force, making sure that my response is appropriate, is making sure that I have patience. Let patience have her perfect work. I have to make sure that I'm patient. That I'm not in a hurry to respond. I'm not in a hurry to get there first. I'm not in a hurry to finish first. I'm not in a hurry to beat anybody to the finish line, because the only person on this earth that I'm racing with is me. Because if I lose, then me still won. If I win, then me is still coming to the finish line with me. The only person I'm racing in this life is me. I want to get back to patience. I want to talk about patience, and I want to tell you all something that really made me chuckle. But again, just in case people are catching this for the first time, we talked about how to be more patient. And as we talked about how to be more patient, one of the things we talked about was what causes a lack of patience. What causes people to be impatient? Because I'm not even going to rehash that. Go back and catch the replay. Because we said that only social media is not the only culprit that has caused us to become impatient. This whole notion of having information at our fingertips and all that kind of stuff, we've gotten the thrill of all of that is gone, and we're on to something else. We've gotten impatient. So we talked about how then can we handle this whole notion of impatience? What can we do about it? And I said one of the things that you can do is make sure that you just reframe the issue, or make sure that you recast and re-describe the situation. Because when you're in an irritating situation, I said one of the things that you can do, if you're in an irritating situation, for example, and you're waiting for somebody who's 10 or 15 minutes late, one of the things that you can do is just take the time to respond to emails, take the time to call somebody that you haven't spoken with in a long time, take the time to turn that negative, what looks like a negative, into a positive. We have the power to do that, you all. We have the power to do that. And one of the things, and this is for people who are stopping by and haven't met me yet, one of the things that I remind us is that we have the power to do a whole lot of things. We have the capability, the wherewithal to do a whole lot of things that we just let sometimes skate right on by us. You have the power to turn most or many of your negative situations into a positive situation. You just have to reframe the situation, redescribe the situation. I told you some time ago, when it looks like you're going to fail, redefine what failure looks like. No, I don't have to fail, because what I'm going to do in this instance, in this moment, I'm going to redefine what failure looks like. And I will not have the label of failure over me, over my life. There's sometimes when I don't dot the I's or cross the T's. In fact, sometimes I try to cross the T's and I try to cross the I's and dot the T's. So I just get mixed up, and it happens. But that does not put the label of failure over my life. Sometimes you just have to redefine what failure looks like. I'm getting to patience, I promise you. But Cutler, this whole notion of redefining what failure looks like, what exactly does that mean? Many of you know that I've been a university professor for a number of years. I'm not currently teaching, but I've been a university professor for a number of years. And sometimes my students used to say, what was the word that they would say? I'm confused. I'm just confused. And I said to them, you don't want to put the label of confused over your forehead. So let me help you reframe. And I'm going to help us with this one. I'm just going to offer this one to us. When people say, I'm confused, I'm going to give you the same advice that I used to tell my students. Stop saying I'm confused. When it comes to a certain concept or something that you're trying to digest or something that you're trying to learn or something that you're trying to reason, stop saying I'm confused. And instead of saying I'm confused, just say I need to spend more time with this. You got to redefine. You got to reframe. You got to recast. So I told them, redefine what confusion looks like for you. And stop using the word confused and say, I'm going to turn this into a positive situation, because if I declare that I am confused, then how will I ever become and I'm making up this word, how will I ever become unconfused? So I used to tell my students, don't walk in a confused mentality. Don't do that. Don't say to yourself, well, I'm just confused, as if that is an example as to why I can just throw up my hands and surrender and call it quits. I can just throw up my hands and say, I'm not going to work on this at all. No. Don't walk in that confused mentality, but redefine, reframe what that potential negative looks like, and then say to yourself, I'm not, Marissa, yeah, take this and share this with your students. So tell them, don't say I'm confused. Just say, I need to spend more time with it. Because spending more time with it says, oh, there is the potential for me to get it. It's possible for me to conquer this. It's possible for me to digest this. It's possible for me to understand this. So a lot of times, you all, we can reframe the situation. We can redefine what it looks like. Certainly we can. And so that's one of the things that helps us when we are going into a possible impatient situation. No, reframe, redefine the situation. And I said, one of the things that we also have to do is just to examine your thoughts. And that it all comes with what I was just saying. Just re-examine your thoughts and be mindful and examine your thoughts. Be mindful about what you're saying. Sometimes you have to close your eyes and see what you're thinking inside your head. See what you're thinking and say, now, is this right? Let's see, yes, saying confused doesn't give any point to start with. Right, it doesn't. It does not. And so then that is why you really have to examine your thoughts. Just be mindful. And we used to hear people say that all the time. Be mindful of this and be mindful of that. And how then do I be mindful? What does that look like? Sometimes it means closing your eyes and thinking about what you're saying. Sometimes it means taking a deep breath. Sometimes it just means examining your thoughts and emotions and giving a label to them, thinking about, how am I feeling? What am I thinking? Am I thinking something that's wholesome, something that's upbeat, something that's optimistic, something that's positive? And I have to label and define my thoughts. We don't like to do that. We don't like to do the work. But I said to us just a couple of weeks ago, that if we are going to be our best selves, we've got to put in the work. And I said that we are on the trajectory to go into the end of this year now, because we've crossed the threshold. We're in the second half of the year. And as we're in the second half of the year, and if we're going to be successful, then we have got to put in the work. It's not going to happen by osmosis. It's not going to happen by telekinesis, but we've got to put in the work. And sometimes we have to put in the work of examining our thoughts. Now, that wasn't right. Why would you even think about that or label that thought? That thought is negative. That's a negative thought. That thought is demeaning. That thought is not constructive. And we have to sometimes define our thoughts. And of course, I talked about this whole notion of just being grateful, exchanging anxiety for gratefulness. When you're frustrated, and we can do this, but sometimes we just like to be frustrated. I know I'm rehashing a lot of what I said before, but it's worth rehashing. Sometimes we like to find ourselves confused and anxious and impatient and frustrated for no reason. Or sometimes there may be a reason, but you can talk yourself out of that reason. But sometimes a lot of people just like to stay there. They like to be in that zone, just frustrated. I'm just going to stay here, and there's nothing that you can say to pull me out of this mode of frustration. But let me tell you what works for me. Sometimes when I'm frustrated, I stop in the middle of frustration and think about the things for which I am thankful. That is exchanging anxiety for gratefulness. You stop in those negative, we've got to do this, y'all. Stop in the middle of those negative moments and think about what you're grateful for. It'll turn the situation. It'll turn it on a dime. That's why we have these conversations, so that we can get these nuggets and so that we can practice them. Finding ourselves in a negative situation, I'm going to stop and think about why I'm grateful. People are getting on my nerves. Let me just stop and think about why I'm grateful. People will look at you like you're crazy because they think that they have power over you, power to push you into that anxious mode, that mode of anxiety, that mode of getting on your last good nerve and thinking that they're going to cause you to try to pull the hair out your head or just beat your head against a brick wall. And while they're doing all of that foolishness, you can sit there and think, you know what, let me think about why I'm grateful. And so the look on your face will not even be responsive to what they're saying or doing, because sometimes people will push you. They'll push you when they think you're at your lowest moment. They'll push you when they think you're most vulnerable. I'm not talking about people. I'm just talking about what happens in life. It has been a part of my experience that people will push you when they think that you're at your lowest. And how you respond, I'm telling you all, my response matters. Because while they are pushing, I've become pensive, which means that I'm thoughtful and I'm thinking about how to ignore them and turn this into a positive moment for me. Because in this moment, it's not about them. It's about me keeping my head, keeping a level head, being true to my character, being true to my integrity. So one of the things that I do in the midst of a negative situation is think about the positive. The positive is, what am I thankful for? I know I said a whole lot, but it works for me every time, y'all. Sometimes you got to talk yourself through the situation. Well, then after that, we also talked about practicing acceptance. And this is where it's going to get kind of funny, because I said sometimes there are things that you can't do anything about. In life, some things you cannot control. Some things you cannot change. So you just go right ahead and control your anger. I told you all I had a situation where I had controlled anger. The vendor that I had been dealing with ended up sending some materials to an old address. Let me tell you all what happened. And that was Tuesday. As soon as the broadcast ended, I called my mother. And my mother said, "So now what were you saying about this vendor sending something to an old address?" I said, "Yeah, mama, I'm getting ready for a milestone class reunion, and I'm coordinating the reunion. And it was critical that I have these particular supplies by a certain date, which was yesterday." I said, "It's critical. I had to have them." And my mother said, "Oh, you mean this box that came to my house?" You all. So what am I talking about this evening? The subject is patience pays off. Sometimes controlling your anger pays off. Some things you can't do anything about. I was not going to have a heart attack over those items. I was not going to have a stroke over those items. I was not going to let my blood pressure go up over those items. I had just thrown my hands up and said, I just can't do anything about it. Now, you all know this. You know my mother is here on the broadcast most Tuesdays and Thursdays. And when I called her after the broadcast, just like a mother, she said, "Now, so somebody sent something to the wrong address?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." And she said, "So like this box that's at my house?" And I said, "Ma, yep, not mother, not mama. I did my southern thing. Ma, you heard me doing all that talking, and I had to talk myself back down into a controlled state. And the stuff is that you could have put in the chat is here at my house," but she didn't, you all. She didn't. But I guess because she hadn't opened the box. She didn't know what was in the box. So I said, "Mama, I'm going to FaceTime you because I need to make sure that here I go getting, excited again. Mama, I'm going to FaceTime you because I have to make sure that what I'm looking for really is in the box." She said, "Okay, all right." Just as cool as a cucumber. I called her, you all, FaceTimed her. My mother opened the box and she said, "This is what you're looking for, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I'll tell you what had happened. It had been sent to the wrong address, an old address for me. And they ended up forwarding the box to my mother's address. I guess at some point I'd put my mother's address in as a forwarding address, or with that vendor, perhaps I had ordered stuff and had it shipped to my mother's address. Whatever the case may be, can I tell you all, I started grinning from ear to ear. My mother said, now what you need to do is go right back the next time you talk and tell everybody on Let's Talk the Color that you got the box. I said, yes, ma'am, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Patience pays off. Patience pays off. There was nothing I could do about that. But just being patient, it happened. It happened. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I guess I'm just going to go here in this vein and in this mode. Patience pays off. And it is my hope for each of you that a certain victory comes your way, a certain success comes your way, a certain win, a certain accomplishment comes your way because of your patience. It is my hope that your patience will be rewarded. It is my hope that you hang in there, that you hold on to your patience, and that if you are facing some situations and some decisions that you're trying to make, it is my hope and my prayer that your patience is rewarded. I offer us, my offering this evening is the power to hold on to your patience. I told you all a couple of days ago, one of the things that sparked this conversation and patience was this message that I read that said, make sure that you're patient before you become a patient. You don't want to bottle up anxiety. You don't want to bottle up hostility. You don't want to bottle up frustration. You don't want to bottle up anything that then has a negative repercussion on you and your well-being. Hold fast to your patience and let patience have her perfect work. There is a reward for being patient. So hang in there. What am I saying? Sometimes just slow down. Our deadlines are not always as rigid as we think. Sometimes we're feeling rushed. We really are. Sometimes we're feeling rushed, and we're feeling like life is happening so fast and I've got to make a move. I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do the other. But one of the things that you don't want to do is to make a careless mistake. Hang on to your patience. Hang on to your patience and know that there is a reward for your patience. Try to have fun when you can. Try to take it easy. Try to breathe. Try to do what you can. Try to improve listening to life, listening to the universe, listening to your soul. My hope, and I've got to get out of here, but my hope and my prayer is that your patience will be rewarded. And I feel like I just needed to say that your patience will be rewarded. Let patience have her perfect work. And the text that I'm referring refers to patient as a female, because patience, holding it and letting it have its perfect work, can be very nurturing, can be very soothing. So for some of you, whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is you're handling in life, whatever is challenging your patience muscle, let patience have a perfect work. And remember and say to yourself, how I respond matters. It matters how I respond. Thank you all for allowing me to share this time with you and share really from my heart. Let's continue doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's stay safe, stay sane, keep your hopes up, your heads up. And again, if you're out in this heat, stay hydrated, go slowly, do what you need to do, take care of yourself, and I'll see you the next time. But until then, tell somebody else, hey, come on and let's talk. We're talking about life. Know that from my heart to yours, there really is and always will be so much love. Have a good evening. I'll see you the next time I see you. Good night, everybody.